Welcome to the Healing Spirits Here and There podcast with Terry and Amanda, where you'll hear spiritual perspectives, weird mediumship experiences, and try intuitive and trust-building exercises for yourself. Join us every Friday. Like and subscribe to never miss a show, and let's get started. Welcome to the Healing Spirits Here and There podcast. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Terry Strauss. Happy Friday, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about suicide. And we have asked Tanja Hawkinson to come in and share her story of her son.
Okay, let's welcome Tanja. Yay, here you are, Tanja. I'm going to give you the big screen.
Okay.
I like it like that. Good morning, Tanja. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, you guys.
It's a very hard subject, and I feel that no parent should ever lose a child. So we really appreciate, oh my God, if I cry through this, you're just going to have to deal with me. But we're grateful that you're going to share your story.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah. It is a very hard subject. It's not one that I would ever wish anybody has to be on this journey. But I'll start with, kind of the backstory. Our son started in drugs and alcohol when he was young, around 13-ish. And, we did all the things to try to, thwart that and change directions, and it just never worked. He started getting into pills and then eventually heroin, which is the devil drug. Terrible, terrible. And they say that when you start heroin, your brain stops. So whatever age you start that at is where your brain continues to be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I learned that afterwards. So it made much more sense to me through all of this when I looked at that and went, oh yeah, that makes much more sense. He can't make an adult decision because his brain is not there. Got it. So it was very eye-opening to learn stuff like that. We went through that from the time he was about 15. We eventually, we got him into some rehabs, spent a fortune because insurance, when this first started, did not cover any of this.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, thousands and thousands of dollars for a rehab. He went twice, and the third time that he went, insurance had actually upgraded and it covered it. Thank God. But there are so many people too that do not have access to that. And that's part of why I share my story. Keep trying, keep going, keep looking for the answers, keep pushing. We went through a lot with him. We ended up kicking him out of the house. He was no longer welcome in the house, which as a parent is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, is to basically cut off your child. And they also say in all of this that one of the things you do is you grieve the loss of your child while they're still living. And we did. There was a couple times that, he said he was ready to get help, came home, and then disappeared in the middle of the night. And the last time I chased him down the street in my bare feet and said, listen, if you go this time, you can't come back. This is it.
Yeah.
That was the night I really grieved the loss of my child, because it was the hardest thing to do as a parent. But after 5-6 years of this cycle of waiting for a knock at the door, waiting for a phone call, it was a bit of relief to cut it off, but it sucked.
Yeah, it's like you have to you have to start to detach from the emotion.
Absolutely, because it tears you apart. And if you
Sure.
don't take care of you, you can never take care of them.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was gone for quite a while that time. And then one day I got home from work and he was sitting at the park across the street from our house under the tree because he knew he couldn't come home. And I walked over there and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore, Mom." And I said, "Okay, well, you can come over to the house. I'll get you a blanket. You can sit on the front lawn under the tree in the shade. I'll get you some water. You can't come in the house if you're like, you can't. We made this deal and you know this." And I went and made some phone calls, got him into facility in Oregon and got on the road. And he spent, I don't know, 60 days down there, which is one of my goals, is to change the time that they do treatment, because 30 or 60 days, even 90 is not enough. It gets your body clean. It doesn't treat this. It doesn't treat the root cause. Why are you choosing this? Why do you keep doing this? So I think mental health needs to be reevaluated with more therapies, more counseling. Get to the root, because you're never going to heal people with 30, 60, or 90 days. It's never going to. So, yeah. Then my husband and I both retired. We did a massive decision that we both were like, I can't believe we're doing this. We sold our house and we were moving to Maui.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a huge decision, which also meant leaving behind our son here. And one of our daughters bought our house, and she ended up taking him in. So we were in Maui for about 9 months. Real estate over there is insane. So, we lost out on a bunch of houses and it never really panned out well, which to me screams it's not right. It's not right. So we came back here and moved to Eastern Washington. And then, I don't know, my son ended up in Maui with us after about 6 months there, because my daughter called and said, he's going right back down the bad path. He can't stay here. I don't know what to do with him. And I called him and I'm like, get on an airplane right now. Get over here. So he came over. He got clean. Met a wonderful girl who had a daughter. And then we moved back here and they stayed there. They were doing great for a while, but in Maui, as it goes, it's very expensive. And they ended up not having a place to live. So they were living in his car. So, I don't know, it was another 6 months maybe after that. We brought him over to Eastern Washington with his girlfriend and her daughter. And they were very happy. He was still clean. Everything was good. Found out she was pregnant with his baby.
Oh, wow.
So had a grandson on the way. They lived with us for a while, like a year and a half. And then found them a little place in town, not too far away, about 20 minutes away. So they were living in their own little apartment with the babies. And then one morning I got a call from her and she just said, Mama Tanya, we have a big problem. And I was like, what's going on? And I was like, are you guys fighting? What's happening? He shot himself in the head. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. What? Like, it was instant shock. Like, you can't be serious. She's like, the ambulance is here. They're taking him to the hospital. And I was like, I don't know what happened in my brain, but an instant, like, okay, what hospital? Where are they taking him? Like, I just fired all of these questions. And she was like, I don't even know yet. And, I'm like, okay, we are on the road. And I had a cup of coffee just like this sitting in front of me. I was in the bathroom getting ready for the day. That cup of coffee sat there for like 3 weeks. Legit sat there for 3 weeks. Normally it takes us about 25 to 30 minutes from the house we lived in to get to town. It took me about 12 minutes. And my husband was like, babe, I'm sure glad you know where the cops are. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck. They can try and pull me over. Go ahead. And I'm like, we got to the hospital and they were doing CPR. And they were like, it's not looking good. There's not much response. And neither one of us was crying. It was so surreal. Like, I think the shock was just, it was too much, and when you walk into a room and you see your son laying on the table, bandaged up, and there's blood everywhere, and there's people doing CPR, and like the shock is just overwhelming,
Sure.
And, they had been doing CPR for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And they were like, if you want us to continue, I was like, just let him go. Just let him go. Just let him go. And then, after that, life gets very hard because everything changes. It affects everyone around you. And it doesn't just affect you for a short term.
Right.
It's the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So the message I like to share with people, and I do this via Instagram, Facebook, wherever, stuff like this as well, is if you're thinking about it, don't do it. Don't do it. Because the burden that you think you are to people in the moment is nothing compared to what it is after you're gone.
Right.
Stay.
Right.
Get help.
Right.
Yep. So that's where we are. 3 years is 2 days from now, the day that he did it. Yeah. So I do not work on that day anymore. I take that day off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's, it's been rough. We came very close to divorce because emotions are very high, very raw. But we sat down one night and said, listen, we can't continue like this. We either get help or we go our separate ways. And we need to sort that out now.
Yeah.
So we went to counseling.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it for everybody. Go to counseling, talk it out, work it out, figure out what, where your hangups are. And, and in the process, we learned that my husband was ADHD, which explained a lot about some of his behaviors. And I was like, oh God, that makes so much more sense now. And I need to stop being an impatient jerk because he can't focus. Okay, great.
Oh my gosh.
So, the things that you find out are amazing.
I know that when I do readings, I'm glad that you mentioned that it is heart-wrenching you're going through anybody is losing a child. No matter how you lose a child, it is the worst thing in the world. And I find that in my readings, there will be a mention, and that the ones in spirit will mention that mom and dad aren't together. They couldn't do it. And I know that you stayed together, and that is amazing. I wish more could. They just can't. They fall apart. There feels like there's a guilt or that there's a blame. And I feel, and I don't know, but I feel that the husband and the wife do it together, or the wife with the husband or the husband, whatever the case may be. What do you, besides counseling, what else did you do to build yourselves together?
Well, my husband's not a reader. He does not love reading books or anything like that. I found myself reading many books about grief, about loss, about suicide loss in particular. I joined Facebook groups with other parents that have lost children. And in doing that, it helped me gain a perspective of the man's point of view so that I could better deal with what he's feeling and what he's going through. You know, because when you go through this, you feel like you are alone. You really do. Even though there are thousands of people that have been through this, you feel like you're on an island.
Absolutely.
And you feel like your partner does not understand what you're going through. 100%. And there is a lot of guilt. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of blame. There's all of that happens. And that's with any death, but suicide in particular, there's a lot of guilt because what could I have done different?
Right.
What could we have helped him with? Did we do enough? Did we not do enough? You know, all the things come into play. And with counseling and reading and, you know, being in these groups where other people have talked about this and, you know, they're there to encourage you and support you, it helped tremendously. Like, I can't tout that stuff enough. You know,
Having a community.
You're not alone. Yeah.
Wow.
When we talk about going to the rehab and the mental health and stuff, because I have a lot of clients, unfortunately, that have been in the same situation, I pick up, whether it's psychically or from them, that when you go to rehab, I agree with you, they are not long enough. I'm thinking they need to be 6 months or a year, you know. And the other biggest thing I find, that's how I'm looking at it, is bringing them, once they're clean enough or they think they're on the right track, bringing them back into their environment is not okay. Not around the friends, not around the trauma, not whatever the set off is. So I feel that they need to maybe go to Maui, go whatever, just
somewhere completely different,
so they have a chance to not slide back down that slippery slope.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's one of the things that, you know, going through this and learning a lot about, I mean, we went to Nar-Anon meetings and all kinds of stuff, learning that people get help and then they go right back to their same environment and it triggers them right back into it.
Right back.
They get around the same people, the same things, and it's
Same
way
school.
too easy to get back into that comfort zone where they were because it's easy for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And the peer pressure from the ones who are not in that place are like, well, it's just one more hit. It's one more this. It's one more that. You'll be fine. And sometimes those are the ones that take them out. I find that it's really hard. I wish I was a millionaire so I can devote it to mental health, or for no parent should ever go through this. We have no control of it.
Yeah,
we have no control.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, you guys. I mean, the amount of, you know, I share a lot I'm not shy about it. I share a lot on Facebook about the journey, and, you know, that there are still days that I'll be driving down the road and all of a sudden I'm bawling. You know, it happens. And one of the things I learned through this too is I have another friend that lost her son same year. And what I've learned is grief is so different for every person. And nobody has the right to tell you how to grieve. Don't do it. That's one of the things I have told everyone. Please don't. Don't judge them. Don't try to tell them they should get over it. Don't try to tell them they should be through this by now. No, absolutely not. You have no right to do that to anyone.
Mhm.
Like
No, and like you said, it's a lifetime. It's 3
Yeah.
years is very recent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
And
even in 10 years,
yeah.
it'll still be recent. The whole, like you said, it's the whole journey,
Yeah.
your entire life dealing with not having this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And, it's out of the natural order.
yeah,
You're not supposed, you're supposed to go before your kids,
Absolutely.
and so it's totally backwards. And
I'm
that's not
not,
something that you can just get over.
yeah.
Yeah.
God, I hope no one said that to you.
No, they did not. But I had some people say that to my other friend, and we talked
Wow.
about it. And I said, listen, just cut them off for now.
Yep.
If they don't come back, they really aren't interested in you. Just take a step back,
Mhm.
let them do their thing. And if they come
Mhm.
back around, explain to them, talk to
There's
them
a
about
lot. Yeah. But they probably don't understand if they haven't had, it's not the same when somebody just passes away or it's your dad or your,
it. No.
it's the right order. But if they haven't had somebody close to them
Mm-hmm.
pass away, they may have no gauge for what a person is going through. And so I find that people say a lot of really rotten things by accident and they
Yes.
don't even know they're doing it,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and it's just a matter of hopefully with most people they just haven't gone through something like that and
Yep. Exactly.
they just say the wrong
Yeah.
darn thing.
Well, I can tell you, so in 2019, I lost my only brother, right?
Mm,
Um, there's 8 kids in our family, all girls except him.
yeah.
So he was a pretty big part of my life. Lost him in 2019. The next year in March 2020, I lost my dad,
Oh my gosh.
and then lost my son in September of 2020.
Holy moly.
So there was a lot of grief in a very short amount of time,
Oh yeah.
and people that don't have that kind of loss,
Don't
that
understand
you said it, they don't get it, they can't comprehend it because they haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all encompassing. It's
Oh,
like
yes.
every fiber of your being is not normal.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing is normal.
Nothing is normal. Yeah, and you gotta rearrange your whole life. Everything, every aspect, everything you do is different. And so I think from an outside perspective, that's really hard for people to understand. Like they're just like, get back to normal. I don't know you this way. This isn't my normal, so you get normal.
Yep.
That's not
Never
gonna
normal.
happen.
Yes. I mean, that's one of the things that that definitely changes. Your normal behavior is not the same. You become a different person through this stuff, and I think sometimes your friends and even family don't understand that. Like, what's wrong with you? You're not the same.
Right.
No, I won't ever be.
Mm-mm.
And I have learned a lot of boundaries through this as well, where I will not tolerate certain behaviors anymore
Mhm.
because life is
Yeah.
too short
True.
and I deserve better treatment. So I'm sorry, I love you, but from over here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta take
That's good.
take care
Yeah.
of yourself.
Yeah. And it's
And
key.
some people can't do that though. Some parents can't. And every day in some parents is they're in a shell and they don't come out. And I think when you talk about it's been 10, 15 years, if I'm not trying to offend anybody, but on the spirit side, looking at it, it really is, I feel sad that they watching what they've done. They're watching that ripple effect of what they've done. So when you don't think for a moment that you haven't reached people with your words and your kindness and your understanding, because I know your reach, because your reach has come back to me. Wisconsin, New York, whatever. You are reaching people. You're speaking volumes. So I don't want you to think that you don't know your reach, because I'm telling you, you've reached people by sharing your story. When you cry for no reason, I want you to know that I feel he's always with you guys. It's just like they're with every one of your family members at the same time,
Yep.
right? Like tentacles.
Yep.
But when you cry for no reason, I feel that he's right there with you. Almost all his tentacles. Almost said another word. It's not right. I feel like that is right there for you. And when you said it, I got goosebumps. So that's why I have to mention it. Because had he known, he would have never did this to you guys. He wouldn't have. He would want to be there for his son. He would want to be there. He was in a very good place in his life, and then it switched. Something switched on him. And we may never know. You may never know exactly what that switch was. Right?
Yep.
So know that he's there, because he's talking about music, and he's talking about blaring the music. And I'm like, well, that's pretty loud music. And then I'm in the car and I'm beep-bopping, but I'm just crying. So I don't know if there's a reference to this. And Dad has a zipper on his mouth. So to me, he's referencing that he doesn't really share all of it, maybe with you, but to where your help is to come out and let this pain out in a healing way for you and many others.
Yeah.
Do you understand that?
I do. Yeah. Yep. And that's from day one. That has been, I think, what has helped me through it the best is to share it. Because for me personally, and this isn't the case for everyone, for me personally, my healing comes in knowing that I'm helping someone else.
You are.
I mean, I've had messages from people that said, "Thank you for sharing. I didn't kill myself today because you shared."
Oh my
That
God.
is powerful.
That's volumes. That's volumes.
That, I mean, I literally, like, I lose my shit when that happens, because it's amazing, it's powerful, it's touching, and that's what helps me heal.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You're amazing. You're
Thank
amazing. And I think you're always amazing, but in a horrific situation, you're doing amazing things.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I know men out there don't talk about it much because they're very closed with their emotions, and that's okay.
That's cool.
The one thing I would suggest for them, don't shut down with your partner.
No.
Be open with your partner.
Do you have any suggestions on ways that they can find to express themselves, whether even if it's not verbally?
Yeah, I mean, like, get outside. Being outside is one of the greatest healers for your body. Go for a hike, go for a walk, go fishing, go hunting, go outside, because that, when you shut down and you stay inside and you stay in that grief, it eats you up.
Yeah.
So get outside, go hunting with your buddies, go fishing, and women, let them go. Please let them go. They're not going out bar hopping and picking up chicks. Okay. They're
releasing.
They're going hunting.
Yeah.
Let them do it. There are way worse things they could be doing. Trust me.
True.
So I mean, it all depends on the person as well. Of course, everybody's an individual. We took a lot of walks. At the time it happened, we were renting a house that had like 80 acres. Whoa. So we went for long walks. Packing the grandbaby on the back, and went for long walks out in the sun. And it helps release a lot of energy to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for parents who have children right now who seem to maybe have some type of tendencies or red flags and they're worried and they don't know what to do, or
Yeah.
I don't
There's so many. I mean, there's so many things you can do. It's a matter of staying on top of it. That's the biggest suggestion I can make is do not give up. Go see a doctor, adjust diets, because I've learned a lot about how toxins can really affect your whole body and will also affect this. So
yeah.
clean up the diets. Don't be giving them those awful energy drinks. Those are so bad for you. Get on some meds if you need to, like natural or synthetic, whatever works for you, do it. But don't stop trying to find the right one, because one may work for this person, but it doesn't work for this person. Keep going and keep pushing through till you find the one that works for you.
And there's
And
many.
get them in counseling.
There's many.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, counseling, our mental health. We've talked about this, Amanda and I, and that there's not enough people out there,
No.
there's just not. And COVID surely didn't help any of this, shutting people down.
No.
There needs to be something there. There needs to be something there. I agree with you 100% on the food. I've noticed that in different people, that it affects it. Like, especially you mentioned your husband's ADHD. Red dyes are absolutely the worst thing you could give any child, right?
Anybody.
Anybody. They don't even allow it in Europe. Right. So you're saying something. So that's like in your mac and cheese, and just look for those red dyes and take those out. That's a big start between ADHD, ODD, ADD, autism, all of it, all of it.
And you'd be amazed when you really read labels, how much stuff contains it. It's incredible. Like incredible.
It's bad. I have a 2-year-old, and so I'm just like so careful with his food, and there's soy in everything, and it's a hormone disruptor.
Yep.
And it's just everything. It's like you really almost have to do like just a whole food diet.
Yep.
Or a whole food lifestyle to stay away from the massive amounts of chemicals and everything.
Yes.
It's insane.
If it comes in a box, it's probably not good.
Right.
Yeah. Was
there a reference to him being Dennis the Menace at one point, and when he was a child?
A little bit.
I'm so sorry. I'm like, you're talking about this food and stuff, and he says, he's like, I was hell on wheels. I was Dennis the Menace.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
pretty much.
We were talking about the food, though. So I'm wondering if that is just validation right there. If we're talking about things that not make things right or hype us up or whatever, God forbid how much sugar they pour into everything. Right?
Oh my God, yes. I mean, if I would have known what I know now about food and ingredients and, hormone disruptors and all of that, dude, so many things would not have been given in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you writing a book? Because I feel like something gets published or you're journaling, but it's from your perspective, but it feels like it connects with everything that you have seen. Almost like if someone was to read it, it gives parents of younger children something to look at and say, well, I don't want this to happen. Are you doing that?
I am not currently.
Do you journal?
I do. I mean, mostly it's, through Facebook when I have things that come up.
It makes me feel it's already almost in there. It feels like it doesn't take much to go in like this, and then I want to put it in a book. So that's why I'm asking, are you journaling? Are you writing? And you would take those and cut them and keep compiling them because I feel like you will make one.
All right then. Not opposed to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you know, and then this is a hard question, but do you know why he started getting into drugs? Was it just like friends, environment? He was bored? Like,
Good question.
because I know
I
that
think
happens to so many people and so many kids. And
Yeah. I
just
think
like,
it's
how does it start?
a huge combo of all things.
Mhm.
You know, that age, is typically when people start experimenting, you know, and kind of what I've learned is like some of us may have experienced as teenagers, but there were certain limits to my experiments. Like, oh no, I don't like that. I'm not doing that. Like there's a shut off. Okay. So like a switch flips and you're like, nope, that's too much. I'm not doing that.
Right.
He did not have that. He wanted to experience everything.
Mhm.
And some people have that and some don't.
Yep. I feel like we can all almost point out a personality we know that is that kind of personality. Yeah, where they're like, I want to do everything.
Yes.
Not no one's going to tell me what that
Yes.
thing is.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's not really one thing that I can say,
Yeah.
is a reason he went down that path.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
you just have to, the one thing I would say is just know your kid, know when something's off, and talk to them openly about everything.
Right.
That's key to communicating with them. We weren't the best at it. I mean, we know that.
We're parents. We don't get a book, right? We do the best that we can.
There's no manual.
No manual.
Yep, no manual. And you just have to wing it sometimes. Just have to, But
I don't think any parent should blame themselves because
No.
I just don't think so. I just don't think so.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm listening to you and you did this and you did that and you flew him to Hawaii and you put him in this group. In a sense, I think the outside world isn't as helpful as they should be.
Yep.
And that's where we should be taking back our parents' power and putting it out there and saying, this can't go on anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not okay. It's just not okay.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that when you see them starting down the path like that is to step in. Don't ignore it. Don't wait for it to just pass because you think it's that age and that's what they do. No. Get control of it early, because if you wait too long, it's spiraling and then you can't stop it.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think that sometimes the drugs, I went to one of the powwows and there was the heroin. They always have this, suicide awareness or whatever. And I wanted to talk to somebody who had been on heroin before. And the lady says, well, I could tell you about it. And I said, have you been on it? She said, no. And I said, well, then you might not be able to answer my question. I want to ask somebody as a medium to try to understand why there's so many of this and this and this going on. And then there was this man and he said, how can I help you? And I said, I just want to know why. Why is it? If they get a hold of it, why do they stay with it? And he says his explanation was it was euphoric, and that everything that you might think bothers you, whether it's little or big or family issues or whatever, it's kind of gone. It's kind of gone.
That's exactly what Ryan said.
He says it's just the happiest, peaceful place. You're just almost numb.
Yeah,
And
he said you forget everything.
Right. And so then I'm like, I could go back to my readings and understand that emotion that I can't ever understand the loss of a child, and I can't understand doing drugs. And so I'm trying to educate the best that I can to be to get across what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah,
And people
that's
just don't normally
exactly
look
how
like
he described it. Was when you take it, you forget everything. You forget pain, you forget joy, you forget everything. You just are.
He said it
Wow.
all comes when you're out of it, and he tries to stay off for a couple of days. He said it all just comes back, and it feels like it's magnituded, like you just dumped you in this cesspool, and then you don't want to be
Mm,
there, right?
Yep.
There's no coping skills, to be honest.
Yep.
And some people are in not good places in our families, some aren't, and then you have to go back into it. So you just want to put that wall up, and that's their wall.
Yep. Yep.
Unfortunately,
100%.
that wall can take you out.
Yep. Exactly.
yeah. It must feel like as soon as you're like coming out of it, you haven't had any, you probably feel like you're just getting attacked on all fronts, like everything's being
Yep.
thrown on top of you.
It's
That's
like
what I
all
talk
of the
about.
memories, all of the things come back and it
Yeah.
floods you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's like you're getting dumped back into the
Mhm.
cesspool,
Yeah.
and then it just hits you, and you're like,
Yeah.
Like, I don't want any part of that.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Right.
sad. It's unfortunate.
Yep. Yep.
Maybe they should just introduce yoga and meditation from kindergarten on up to find balance
Well,
in
I
your
could
own
not
life.
agree more with that.
Mhm.
Seriously.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of things they shouldn't be focusing on, but this is something that would be your mind, body, and
Teaching
soul.
coping skills.
Yeah. Coping skills. Oh my goodness. So many people don't have coping skills.
Yep.
A lot of young people. It's
Oh,
really
so many. Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
can't deal with anything. And
Yep.
so, yeah, I think that's an amazing idea. Have coping skills just be something that we know from a young age,
Teach it.
something, yep, something
Yeah.
to lean into.
Yeah, absolutely. Basic life skills.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Tanya, how do people read your post or get in touch with you or
Yeah,
just advice?
my profiles are public.
Okay.
So very easy to find. It's Tanja Hawkinson. It's Tanja. Last name is Hawkinson, Hawkinson.
Mhm.
And you can find me on Instagram as I think it's Tanya Hawk Beagle Mom. I have 2 beagle puppies.
Cute.
So either of those avenues. I am more on Facebook than
Okay.
Instagram. So that one's probably the best place. You can always reach out. You can message. Happy
Mhm.
to. Absolutely happy to talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for coming on this show and sharing your story that I know that was very hard. But if we reach one person and help one person, we
It's
did
worth
our
it.
job. We did our job.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
And Ray is doing a great job. In his own way, he's doing a great job. Feels
He
very
is.
proud for what Ray's doing. I don't know if he's working more or not, making more hours than he should. He's supposed to be retired, but he feels like he could be working more. I think he needs to pull that back. Is he working?
Yes.
Oh,
And
We're back
Ray
to work full time.
is Tanya's husband, just in case
Right.
anyone doesn't realize.
oh yes, Ray's the husband. He's such an amazing man. Amazing
Yes.
man.
Mm.
He is.
He's an amazing father as well.
Yeah. I'm very spoiled.
I
Mm. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, and we're really happy to get this out, especially in September for Suicide Awareness Month.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure the suicide rates have increased dramatically over the last few years.
Huge. It's been like 1,000% increase.
I do not
Yeah.
think, I really get annoyed about the Suicide Awareness Month. It's not an effing month that it happens in. It's not an effing day. It is every day, anytime, anywhere, any
Mhm.
place. We should be talking about this every single day.
Yep. That's why I share.
Yeah.
And I love you.
I love you too.
All right. Bye, Tanya. Well, that was really a powerful, incredible interview.
Yes, it was.
And I'm so thankful for people like Tanya who are able and willing to share, because there's a lot of broken hearts, a lot of grieving people. And hearing somebody share your story just, it connects you and starts to heal you and gives you an outlet, an olive branch, I guess, just
Mhm.
knowing that you're not alone. And so that's what we need, because it's a painful, hard world. So,
When we talk about losing a child, and it happened to be that her son had the suicide, but there's overdoses, there's children that were murdered. We had talked to Michelle. Drive-bys, DUI, driving, somebody hits your child and they die. You lose a child at birth or whatever. A child's loss is the worst.
yeah.
The worst.
Yeah.
But there's many ways, but that was her story.
Yeah. Like my sister dying of cancer, before my parents. There's just so many, unfortunately, there's so many options of this, like Tanya said, it's not the natural order.
No, it's not.
So, and even in the natural order doesn't feel like a natural order either.
No.
It all feels unnatural, if you ask me. So,
my heart goes out to every parent out there, every brother, every sister, grandma, grandpa,
Yeah. Yep. And Terry, you kind of connecting while we were talking was really nice, because I like to remember, as painful as it is, the bigger picture is these people are still here. We just can't see them. We can only, get quiet and feel them, or establish a new relationship with them in some kind of different way, but they're not gone. It's just extremely different,
Right. Their shell is gone, what we're borrowing at the moment, but our energy source is still there. We still see the crazy things that we're doing down here. We're still in the car with them. We're still there. That's the biggest thing to know, that gives you some hope in a bad situation.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I feel like someone was touching my hair.
I don't know.
Who is that? So, all right. Well, thank you for getting Tanya on.
I met her this way. I met her through her family this way. But those are one of those Friants. Yeah. She even painted my house. So the inside, yeah, she likes to paint. And so I hired her to paint my house.
That's amazing.
She's an amazing person to be around. She's a wealth of knowledge, and she's funny. Her sister's funny too. They're all funny.
We'll see you next week. We have actually Lynn Madajong back on to talk about natural herbs that you should have at home for all different reasons. She was super informational. So I hope you guys really enjoy that episode and tune in.
Yep. From my heart to yours, I love you.
Mwah.